YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back on Total War Shogun 2. Wanted to actually show you some multiplayer on here. I've played a few Fall of the Samurai battles recently on just matchmaking, and it's been pretty tough. Really tough, to be honest. But I wanted to show you this one. This one was kind of a fun battle. And I like how you all notice how I changed my name on this one to Was Ready for Battlefront. Thanks, EA. Really appreciate you taking what should have been a very easy decision and complicating it. All I can hope is that somehow that backfires in my face and that game's awesome, but I really have no hope left for pretty much all the producers in the gaming industry for the most part. So here we go. Here's my army. Whoa, moving backwards there instead of forward. Let's check it out. So most of my infantry is just like some unupgraded Red Bear infantry, and the reason why you choose these guys, they're not real great at shooting, but they have a decent charge. And this is going to be in the woods. And so what I wanted to do, so I think I have this is a medium funds battle, so I can't afford much because my general is a level 10 general and he's very expensive. So I have, I think, a couple of Yariki. I've got 2 Yarikachi. What I was hoping to do is rapid advance to get on the enemy flank. These guys are basically the Yari Samurai of the Fall of the Samurai. They have rapid advance. And then again, I think I have 4 Red Bears. And then my general... Where is my General Roman at? Somewhere over here. I think I may be moving him up ahead. No. Where'd he go? Where are you at, Patchy? Here he is. So here's my my general rolling up through the woods. You can see there he is. He's actually a traditional Patchy, wearing a lot of sweet armor here. I'll wait till he stands still so you can see him. But I think it just is that because recently I switched over to that avatar to try and get some matches, even though I didn't end up getting any. So I think that it's just on that avatar, even though technically he should look like a modern general. He's not. So, but the rest of his bodyguard's modern, which makes it pretty cool that he's like on a traditional get up here on this horse. And I'll show you my enemy here in just a moment. You'll get to see him. I just kind of wanted to show you Apache's armor. He looks pretty dang cool in his armor. So there he is. That's my avatar, sweet mask and everything, very cool. Shogun 2 had some cool armor sets for your general. Definitely looking very nice. Very, very good looking game still, even though it's several years old. So my opponent, it was a lower skill general. He was going through the process of, what do they call it, prestiging. So here's his general over here wearing like this cool white uniform. Check that out. It looks like he's ready to go to a dance or something. Or no, maybe that's not his general. Yeah, I think it is. The guy in white there. Makes sense. So his army is much more numerous than mine. His general is far cheaper. Now, Patchy in this battle, I was trying out the gun general, so I have like 155 range, extra ammo, accuracy, all that stuff. So you can see me trying to just inch forward and start taking pot shots at his line infantry. And then I've captured the archery dojo over here, so my guys will have a nice boost to their shooting stats. So their reload skill on my Red Bears goes up considerably. And their ammunition looks like it has gone up as well. And this also means my shooter general could go reload his ammo theoretically. And notice I keep some Yariki on his flanks. These Yariki just have a couple of attack upgrades. And then my Yarikachi are back here in the forest. So what I'm doing is just kind of forcing my opponent to kind of play a game here with me. But I'm extremely scared of his army. He's got Spear Levy here, Shogun and Infantry, which is very good infantry. Even my upgraded Red Bears are going to be on the same shooting stats, basically. I say upgraded because I got the Archery Dojo. But these guys are still more accurate. So even with the Archery Dojo, his Shogunate Infantry win in a head-on fight. So I can already see 3 Shogunate Infantry. Let's see. Here's another one. So 4 Shogunate Infantry and an Infantry de Marine. So I am going to be outgunned massively. And this Infantry de Marine, you can see that the reload skill and accuracy is far, far higher than anything I have. So they are only 125 range, but it doesn't matter. If those guys get in range, I'm screwed. So my opponent has all infantry here. He's got 6 Shogunate Infantry, an Infantry de Marine, and 3 Spear Levy. And then his general is a partial gun gen. So the only prayer I have of winning this fight is to get my cavalry in and some nice charges. Actually, I think I have 4 Yariki. Maybe it's 3, or no, I've got 4, so there we go. Yeah, so I've got 4 Yariki. I went cav heavy, so I was looking for mobility, and I have the mobility advantage, but the thing is, my opponent has a massive shooting advantage. He outnumbers me almost 2-to-1 with shooting infantry, and his quality is better on every last unit. So I am using my general. As you can see, I did manage to get some pot shots and kill a few of these guys. But my opponent is being patient. He hasn't moved up to capture the shrine, so I feel like my only choice here is to take these two HeirofCarthage and to start moving around the shrine. And for those of you who may not be familiar with Shogun 2, there was key buildings on the map. So like there's the shrine and this is the archery dojo. When you capture them, it gives you certain benefits to your army, and it basically forces a strategic engagement. So in this case, I'm moving around the shrine. You can see the influence level. My general's firing again. So again, just trying to pick at his infantry and force them to move. And I hope that I can force him into action. I'm keeping my guys just inside the woods, but his guys are going to have woods cover as well. And yeah, so that's all that's happened right now. So you can see my HeirofCarthage moving out here on the flanks. The spear levy are already like bad morale. My general's still just like picking at these enemy units. You got to be careful though. If your opponent moves forward when you're not paying attention, they can kill your general very quickly. So I've got my opponent surrounded, which is good, but the shooting situation is not looking good for me. Not looking good at all. Though his Infantry de Marine starts to wander into range of this hidden Red Bear unit, which is great. I'm going to get some free shots here. And then I already have my cavalry inbound, because I don't want this Infantry de Marine to stand here and shoot it out with me. So see how I forced them away? And at this point, the best thing for me to do is just turn around, take my cav charge away. But I was very desperate to get into his Infantry de Marine. These guys have to die if I want to win. But I call off the charge at the last second because he turns around other units and has other units hidden. So I end up losing 10 cav and just have almost no effect here. I killed 20 of his Infantry de Marine, which was great. But it's still a long ways to go. Now the nice thing is here is he doesn't have a shooter infantry to face me, so my two HeirofCarthage are here. The problem is that even if I get a nice flank movement here, which I can, I don't really have any means to support a flanking movement. So my opponent pushes up here with his Infantry de Marine, and they are going to just bushwhack my Red Bears. I should have pulled back already. But I was like, you know what, I'm going to try and overwhelm this flank and see if I can start to push through to a victory. So I do go ahead and pull back. I'm under suppression fire, but it's just a bad scenario. My HeirofCarthage are going to get cleanly into the spear levy. But here, I don't know why I didn't approach from more of a flank. I get my HeirofCarthage here shot for no reason. I could have come around. And I do have a cav charge inbound.
Your general is under attack.
My general's actually fine. There's just stray bullets coming past him. So yeah, I get a very nice HeirofCarthage charge straight into the back of the Shogun infantry, but see, the superior numbers of my opponent means he's already turning to face me, and I absolutely wreck that Shogun infantry, just destroy it. And then I'm going to go ahead and just charge towards this one to try and keep it from shooting, but again, just the numbers game here, look, just all the numbers of my enemy pouring in, and because I let these HeirofCarthage get shot so much, they took way too much damage. But I mean, I am effectively wrapping up his flank, but I've been a little slow to support here because I'm just freaking scared to death of that Infantry de Marine over here. And so I'm going to move in this HeirofCarthage and see if I can come harass his general. My own general is up here on the flank now, and I'm kind of just hoping that I can just power my way through my opponent with these melee troops. But again, just by numbers, he quickly turns and shoots my HeirofCarthage, so it's no longer a distraction, which means that my HeirofCarthage, who have already used the rapid advance, are going to start getting the crap shot out of them by multiple Shogunate infantry. So this means that they are not going to last much longer, and I did not successfully get my troops up to support in time, plus my opponent was in the forest. Now here, though, I do almost get a very nice charge on his Infantry de Marine, but he managed to turn around just in time, so I don't end up killing hardly anything with this HeirofCarthage, so that was a waste. So I'm now down 2 HeirofCarthage, and I've lost my HeirofCarthage. And didn't get very great kills on either one of them. I mean, okay-ish, but that one was mostly spear levy kills, so very bad, actually. So this is not good. I lost a ton of units, and now numbers are in favor of my opponent. However, I do own both dojos, and so there's a timer counting down. My opponent has to defeat me within 10 minutes, which he can easily do. So here I'm falling back from his spear levy and his Infantry de Marine. So at the moment, I have the shrine and the archery dojo, which is great, but my opponent just has numbers and quality still. So it's going to be very difficult for me. He had popped a rally on his troops. And here I'm going to show you why the red bears are good. So the red bears get shots on his spear levy, and then after I get good shots, I'm going to activate a melee charge. And because my guys have a good charge bonus, and this is where red bears can be handy at countering a melee rush, they can shoot and then charge in themselves, and pretty easily rout units like spear levy. So it makes them handy in that regard. So you're going to see the spear levy easily defeated. So then I'm going to just keep pulling back because he's trying to move up his Infantry des Marines. So very close fight at this point, but it's not looking good for me. It really isn't. I've got a Yariki here and my general, so that's my mobility. And then I've got 4 red bears, one of which has already been shredded up a little by his Infantry des Marines. But I do have his Infantry des Marines down by about 50 men. But again, all the Shogun and infantry over here are going to be formidable opponents. It is possible for me to win this, though, because of the archery dojo. But really what I need to do is just be falling back on this flank. Just fall back, fall back, fall back, bide time. That's all I should be doing, is falling back and biding my time. But I don't. I decide to sit here and shoot for some stupid reason. I have no idea why I made this decision. But his units are in range over here, and I just go ahead and start trading some shots. And this is something I definitely shouldn't do up against his Shogun and infantry. I get a few kills, but this is hardly worth it. These guys are receiving cover from the woods, and I will too, but again, it's like, why trade shots here? There's no reason to. I should have just retreated up and over the hill and tried to use the terrain to my advantage. Because over here, now I'm just going to get shot up. I'll fast forward and kind of show you this. So I allow my opponent to kind of piecemeal me on this flank. And again, these Yariki should have been over here way back at the beginning of this engagement so that he was afraid to engage me. My general here just very nearly gets shot by this Shogun and infantry. My opponent's doing a pretty good job of keeping an eye on the flanks. I can't push up here and shoot these guys in the flanks because he's got this unit and this unit. So again, numbers working against me here, and it's just absolutely foolish of me to sit here and shoot it out to any degree with these Shogun and infantry. Just idiotic. So I had this one Yariki back here. I go again for his Infantry des Marines, and I get a very nice charge with it. But the Infantry des Marines has better stats, and it manages to survive. So I overestimated my Yariki there, and the Infantry des Marines only loses a few more men, and that Yariki is completely wasted. So now I lost that Yariki. I should have used it against some of his weaker units over here. Now his general uses the spear levy as bait and then comes shooting at my general, which was a great plan. So that definitely a good move on his part. So I get my general away, though I did take some losses. This is unfortunate because you definitely don't want that as a gun gen. And I'm still sitting here shooting this out, which is just, again, absolute idiocy. He's got more numbers, and this is going to work to his favor. The timer, though, has been running all this time, but he's still got several minutes to achieve victory, more than enough time. And my opponent played very patiently here, and you can see that his Infantry des Marines pushing me back on this flank, so I'm going to have to flee at this point. Again, not sure why I stayed here and fought this, because now my opponent can just swing around me. If I would have just fallen back, I probably could have bought enough time to really force the timer on my opponent and potentially beat him on the timer. But at this point now, he has a huge advantage. And then like right here, he's got his spear levy keeping my general from being useful over here. And then he's just going to be able to wrap up numbers on me. So I lost 1 red bear, so I've got this 1 damaged red bear and then 2 full strength. And I honestly need to back up a little where his guys won't be able to fight me from the woods. Yeah, over here my general is going to be able to shoot his spear levy to death. Spear levy has got such a low morale. So the spear levy's gone, but of course he has his general ready to try and shoot it out with mine. My general would be better in a shooting fight, but still it's not something I'd really prefer. I need my general to help turn the tide against his infantry with their extra range. But I mean, that Yariki was wasted. If I would have just fallen back and kept the Yariki over here in the woods where the Infantry des Marines couldn't get an easy shot, so say like right behind this ridge line, it would have prevented my opponent from making a flanking move. Because then my red bears could have held the hill, and then my Yariki would have prevented him from outflanking me, and I could have made him attack me out here in the open, which would have actually gone in my favor because of the archery dojo bonuses and stuff for me. So definitely got hasty on my part, and that's the thing about Follow the Samurai. Strategy is very different on this game, and it requires you to be very accurate very quickly, because if you make one mistake, you can end up paying for it. Line of sight can also be very annoying on this game, because you can think you have line of sight and then you won't. Now see, watch. Now in an open gunfight with the archery dojo and the shrine, these red bears will do pretty darn good against his shogunate infantry. You can see killing a huge number of his men on the opening volley. The problem is I'm going to be outnumbered over here. So he can actually fight me 2-1 if he wants. But I mean, initially, this engagement starts off very well for me. And I start to even off a little bit of the numbers here with my red bears. Their reload is much improved. And their morale is going to be much better because of the dojo. The shrine, I should say. So yeah, my opponent moves forward, and initially I get a lot of nice kills and actually rout one of his shogunate infantry. Over here, though, he's watching my general with a whole nother unit of shogunate infantry. And then I'm just in trouble here. I don't have many options. His Infantry de Marine is just going to absolutely destroy me. I decided to just charge. It's never going to work, but I can't sit there and shoot it out with him either. I probably should have just fallen back again, but I think they have line of sight. Yeah, they have good line of sight from there, so falling back wouldn't have helped. So here in the end, I get quite a few kills. Unfortunately, this unit probably comes back. My general is getting some nice rear shots into this shogunate infantry. And I probably should have just allowed him to continue to... well, no, see here, he's turning around, and I just decided to go ahead and charge out of desperation. Running away, I wouldn't have had time to run away, unfortunately. And see, this unit came back from routing as well. My general can't hope to actually win this melee fight, but I figured this match was pretty much over. I ended up getting a number of kills in the end, but the numbers of enemies here just ended up outworking me. So my opponent did a good job of making a calculated decision not to bring cavalry. It's not always a safe decision, but he played it well here. He was patient. And see how when he attacked me out here in the open like that, my red bears decimated his shogunate infantry. So the reason he worked that flank, I should have never let him do it. I could have stopped him from doing it. But that was my mistake. And because I didn't, he absolutely deserves this win that he's about to take home here. These, like I said, interesting battle. The strategies on here are a little different. A few mistakes like that can definitely prevent you from taking home a win. As you can see, that was definitely the case here. And now my guys are just completely outnumbered, and they did pretty well, all in all. The red bears are a pretty solid unit. They're just not great shooting infantry. So I'll let you watch my guys get slaughtered here in the end, then we'll take a look at the results screen. I don't even remember if it lets you look at the results screen in Shogun 2. I'm not sure if they ever fixed that. So great game to my opponent. It was a fun one. Hopefully reminded me of a few things to keep an eye on in the Fall of Samurai multiplayer, and if you all like it, I might show you some more. I obviously would love to play some more Shogun 2 Classic as well, because I love, I like both. And honestly, I think Shogun 2 multiplayer was very close to being perfect. The Avatar Conquest is fun, and a lot of people like it. My only complaint against it is it requires you to grind out a lot. If they would have left it and then added matchmaking for Classic battles, I think that would have made Shogun 2 perfect. If you had matchmaking for Classic and matchmaking for Avatar, that would have just been fantastic. So I would love to see something like this come back to a Total War game, just to add a little bit of variety to multiplayer, even though it wasn't always my favorite. Yeah, my opponent outnumbered me by almost 400 men there. And I killed more than he did, but it's mainly because my army was smaller. So again, just some key mistakes there prevented me from winning. Now look, my general did rack up 207 kills. Not bad. And then this red bear infantry here did fantastic with 182. This Yarikachi killed mostly spear levy, so I wouldn't say that was worth it in this case. One Yariki killed a ton of shogunate infantry, but just by the numbers, it got overwhelmed. And so you can see that wasted Yariki, 3 of them, and that's really what cost me the battle here. I should have used those to keep my opponent from wanting to make out flanking moves, and then the timer would have worked in my favor, and as my opponent moved forward, being forced to by the timer, I could have taken better engagements for myself and coordinated my infantry and cavalry a little better. Now for my opponent, his Infantry de Marine picked up the most kills, but you can see that several of his shogunate infantry also did very well, although I did manage to contain a few of his shogunate infantry. Like I said, hope you all enjoyed it. HeirofCarthage, signing off for now.